I don't know the point of this story, but I just couldn't believe it was happening to me. So I will share as a therapeutic need. Nobody looks good in this story, especially me. Welcome to Absolute Joy. I'm Michael Joy, and this is a long, short story. I gotta take a deep breath. This one, it's not like it's dramatic. No people or pets were harmed in the telling of this story, but it actually happened. Not a bit of it is made up, not a bit of it is emphasized, and hopefully I can remember it all. This might be one of the reasons why I'm not good at weddings. I had a close group of friends in art school, and one of those friends was Amy. We're not a couple or anything like that, so there's not that dynamic to work into this part of the story. But she says, this was after school. I'd been in business now for a couple of years. I don't know, when I'm 28, something like that. And she says, would you please come to my brother's wedding with me? She said, I'm a bridesmaid, and I don't really know a lot of the people. It was her stepbrother, so kind of two different family groups, and they lived in Wisconsin. I'm like, sure, no problem. So we sorted out the dates and all that stuff, and I said, the only deal is this, Amy, I said, I'll get there early, but you have to tie my tie, because I don't know how to tie a tie, and I'm tie resistant. I don't want to learn, so don't offer. Don't mock me with tie videos. I just won't do it. To me, it can just be dragged around by the neck. She's like, yeah, no problem. So the day finally rolls around, and I'm ready to go a little bit earlier in the morning, maybe let's say 10:30-ish in the morning. And I got an hour plus drive to Wisconsin. At the time I was driving this pretty spiffy Isuzu Trooper. It was a nice car for me at the time. It was my success mobile with my first business, and I'm driving up there. This is before GPS, and I'm very bad with directions. I'm on my way. I get a light on the dashboard of a problem. I pull into the gas station, and it's my coolant is going out the bottom of the car. I was in proximity to a car repair place, and they have this stuff. You can dump it in your radiator, and it plugs up the holes. It's probably terrible for a car, but I'm not stopping. So I put that in, close it up, put some more fluid in there, and I drive on. Now an hour plus goes by, and I've arrived in this very small town in Wisconsin. And I'm like, shit, man, these churches don't have numbers. I couldn't remember the name of the church. I don't have a phone. I'm like, son of a... And I'm like, what do I do? I'm driving around, and then I notice this cop is following me, because I'm the only guy circling in this small empty town at 11:30 or 12 in the afternoon by this time. And I'm like, son of a gun. And I see a church. I go to the church, and I see people are already walking in. And oh no, I'm late, and I don't have my tie isn't tied. So I'm driving around. I'm like, well, let me find a place that's open. The only place that opened was this biker's bar. I go in this biker's bar. There's the bartender and an old lady who was particularly drunk. She's not going to be able to tie the tie. And I asked the bartender, you know how to tie a tie? He's like, yeah, of course. I'll give you $10 if you tie this tie for me. And he goes, oh, you really mean it? He's like, I haven't tied a tie in a while. And I give him the tie, and he's like, and I'm watching the clock go by, and I'm like, I'm late for church. I got a bartender tying the tie for me. Finally, the tie gets tied. He takes it off. I put it on, and I go back to the church that I saw everybody filing into. Now I'm late. So I come in, and I open the doors, and somebody put paper on the aisle. And I open the door, and it goes... Everybody in the church turns around, and I'm like, bridegroom, I don't know. I just sit down in the back, and I'm like, oh, easy, tiger, easy, tiger. They're like, oh, I'm watching this wedding. Amy said she was going to wear lavender because she didn't like the lavender. These girls are all wearing pink. That's a big girl. Amy's slender. It's another Wisconsin girls here. I don't know. Oh, fuck, I'm at the wrong wedding. So now I'm like, oh, no. So now I drive around. I go back to the bar. I'm like... They're like, hey, tie guy. And I'm like, yeah. I said, is there another church here? And he's like, yeah, it's around the so-and-so. So I get to the church. By this time, the wedding's almost over. And I just see them give me a kiss the bride and all this sort of stuff. And Amy's like, where were you? And I'm like, I'll tell you later. So now we're going over to the event center or wherever they were having the dinner. I'm feeling okay, like, hey, good recovery, not bad. For whatever reason, we were waiting so long at that center for them to finish the pictures. I mean, this is the killer of the plan of this. It's like, get your pictures on a different day because you got 100 people waiting to eat. The chefs are like, I'm serving. So we're sitting in there, and we're sitting at the table, and there was this lady that kept clinking the glass. As the bride and groom finally came in, and this lady clinking the glass. No one's paying attention. Clink, clink, clink. Amy, what is... She's like, oh, she's talking to somebody else. And I turn around. I'm like, could you please just not clink that glass anymore? And she's like, and I told Amy, I'm like, she's like, that's the bride's mother. I'm like, oh, good, great. I'm like, I'm really hungry. That's probably why I did it. I'm like, just serve the food. The dinner goes on, and we have this and that, and I don't know. I think I danced with Amy, and then they sit everybody down, and then they start with these bullshit wedding things. There's a garter belt, and then someone's going to toss a bouquet, and the garter belt. I didn't know about this one. So they say, all the single men, all the unmarried men, out on the dance floor, please. Amy's like, I'm not going. Nobody goes on the dance floor. Nobody. She's like, you gotta go out there. I'm like, oh. So I go out there and I said to everybody, I can't be the only one. Come on, you look single? No, no, no. So I start pulling kids from the crowd, like about 8 kids on the dance floor with me. I grabbed this one kid and I said, here's how it's gonna go down. I said, you see that thing over there? They're gonna fling it in the air. When it goes in the air, I'm gonna grab you. I'm gonna lift you in the air and you catch it like a superstar. You got this? Yeah. Man, it went down like music. I can't believe that it went to him and he caught it and everybody clapped and it was fantastic. And it was like a big gag, you know, I'm the only adult on the dance floor. And so the wedding finishes up and it was terrific, right? And I thought, oh, made it through. Now, part of the deal was we were gonna stay at Amy's brother's house. And he had a small apartment. They're young, you know, and stuff. And so we were going to stay in their room. And we basically fell asleep, like dead to the world. Mornings there like this. Have you ever woke up and you don't know where you're at? Well, not in a bad way, but like just unfamiliar. I wasn't hungover. I don't drink really, so there's not a lot of downside. I'm like, does your brother have dogs? She's like, yeah, he's got some dogs. I'm under the covers because I hear this dog right next to me. I'm like, does the dog know it's not his dad? And we're under the covers talking and she's like, I don't know. 2 huge Rottweilers. I mean, the dog's head is this big. And the dog's like, hey, Dad, time to get up, this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, I made it through the wedding. I'm going to get eaten by this guy's dog in his own bed with his stepsister. What am I going to say to the police? You know, this is not going to go well. What I did is I put my hand out from we're both under the covers because she's like, the dog doesn't know me either. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, I got this. I put my hand out from the cover and I just sort of pet the dog's leg and he's like, I'm like, what's the dog's name? And she knew the dog's name. And so I start talking the dog's name. And when I did the reveal, the dog was like, I think I should kill you. But at the moment, I'm extremely surprised. What's going on? It turns out, no drama to this. The dog sort of stepped back and I'm like, come on, boy. Come on, boy. You're a good boy. What do you say? I had no treats in my pocket at this point. You know, it's like 11 in the morning. I'm like, okay, the dog is not killing me. The dog is okay. The dog probably has to go pee. So now I'm a professional dog walker at this point. I'm taking this dog out. We're going pee, this, that, and the other. And it was just, I was so surprised that I thought I was unstoppable at this wedding. Absolutely unstoppable. And I thought, you know what? I had a lot of sympathy for the people that are in the wedding business. And this sort of stuff probably happens all the time. I just thought, but maybe not all 4 or 5 things at the same time. So the moral to this story, keep some dog treats in your pocket at all times because you never know when that little pepperoni teeny thingy is gonna save your life for sleeping in another man's bed. That's all I got.